And probably you are wondering how I ended in this situation. I was at Phuket airport ready to fly to Kuala Lumpur when I made the mistake of checking my project. I discovered that the egress had exceeded the free plan limit on Supabase, and I was on the grace period. If I couldn't reduce the egress, I would have to pay within 3 days. On top of that, Vercel hosting was becoming super slow and just went down. There wasn't much I could do, so I closed my laptop, went through security, and decided to enjoy my flight. Once I was in the taxi in Kuala Lumpur, I knew I had 3 days to migrate from Supabase to an alternative and enjoy the city. But first, about me, some street food, some dumplings obviously, and then it will be bedtime because that day has been long and intense. I had decided to replace Supabase with PostgreSQL. I have some knowledge of it and I knew this would bring cost down to zero. But first, to start the day, I drink a glass of water and I head to the amazing gym on the 37th floor with views of the city. It was arm day and working out, I was planning how to organize my day. Afterward, a swim in this incredible pool, dreaming about how my life could change if this app made me a millionaire. Although this amazing apartment only cost 30 euros a night. The last thing I needed was to find a good coffee and get to work. I can't work in cafes. I need 2 screens. So I went back home to my office with a view, and also I decided to stop using Vercel. Besides being quite slow, I realized it would have a lot of hidden cost. As I've seen in some news stories where app owners were paying huge amount of money, which wasn't feasible for my free app. Vercel Pro plans start at $20 per month, so I went to Hostinger's website and bought a VPS server about $7.70 a month. I've watched a few YouTube videos on how to deploy my project to a new server, and I decided to use Docker. To do that, I needed to install it on my computer and build the project image. The image is the isolated environment where the app runs, creating and destroying containers as needed. First error, permission denied. It was time to ask ChatGPT, but it wasn't available either. I need some fresh air after taking in so much new information and processes, so I went to the pool. I went back to ask Claude AI, that is often more precise than ChatGPT when it comes to code and related issues. Turns out I need to go to GitHub settings, actions, and add more read and write permissions. I also download Docker Desktop, and finally my image was successfully uploaded. Next, I have to upload it to GitHub, where you can find it under the Package tab. It creates a folder with your project named. It was time to go for lunch at the Indian place with the best cheese naan I ever had, and also some incredible rotis. Errors and warnings kept popping up, so I have to go back to YouTube for more videos. I also needed to install some missing dependencies like Sharp to optimize images in production and update the Docker file with some new processes. Time to shut down the laptop and watch the sunset. This is the free way to reset your energy before heading back to the city to find something to eat at the market. Of course, dumpling and this delicious meat with freshly made noodles were a must. One thing I love about Kuala Lumpur is that you can find many options for street food from all over Asia, but it was time to head home, enjoy the apartment's view, and get back to coding and fixing bugs. 11 at night, time to sleep. I had a nightmare. The Vercel and Supabase bill were so high I couldn't pay them. But just a nightmare. 2 in the morning. I still could get some sleep. December 15th, today I had to fix all the problems because I want a free day to enjoy the city. As usual, I start the day by drinking water. There was still the database migration and deployment to tackle, but I motivated myself by saying I could do it. At 7:05 a.m., I went up to the 37th floor to the gym because it was leg day. While working out, I listened to podcasts and alternate with some YouTube videos. I still didn't have much of an idea how I was going to migrate my database to PostgreSQL or deploy it to the VPS with the Docker image that I built. First, pool, and of course a takeaway coffee to code from my home office. In one of those YouTube videos, I found the answer. I discovered Coolify. Coolify is a platform they describe as self-hosting with superpowers. You just go on their website, click self-hosted, copy a command into your terminal, and it downloads all the necessary package. Check this dashboard and the integration. Isn't it amazing? I created my first project and connected to GitHub. First deployment failed. I don't know why. So it was time to go for lunch. This time I head to Chinatown, though the food wasn't memorable except for the peanut butter mochi. I tried deploying using the image instead of my project and hey, it works! Final step, database. First, I needed to export all my tables from Supabase into CSV or SQL files. I wasn't sure which ones to use, so I exported both and finally paused my project in Supabase. Goodbye forever. I installed DBeaver and wanted to use to create my database because I found it pretty straightforward. You just go to the database tab, select new connection, then PostgreSQL, fill all the details and fields, and you are all set. The connection was established. Since I have many users, I have no choice but to create a script to insert them all into the database at once because DBeaver was crashing. Just like me when I realized at the airport that Supabase and Vercel would start charging me. I also needed a backup for my database, which I planned to create in Coolify, but something was not working. I need to configure the domains in Coolify. And there it was. ScubaReputation.com was finally up and running faster than ever. I have done it. After 2 days of hard work and effort, my app was live and ready to use, my first app, and I still have one more day to enjoy the city. But I couldn't relax because I knew the hardest part was yet to come. Now I need the Scuba instructor to discover my app, and marketing is always every developer's nightmare.